Hey, I'm Cameron.
And I'm Will.
And this is Shoot First, Questions Later, an informative and mildly entertaining photography podcast with a raw Aussie flavour. And we are back from a short hiatus.
Indeed, a relatively long hiatus, I think.
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I was trying to lessen the blow for the listeners.
Yeah.
But it wasn't planned. It was a bit of a... Bit of a
curveball.
Yeah, just to keep everyone on their toes. Nah, it was...
the suspense.
There's a few little reasons, I suppose. Like, we were very busy at that time. We'd come back from New Zealand and...
Yeah, our last episode was a New Zealand episode.
Yeah, we were sitting in Queenstown.
Together, yep. And even that was interesting in itself, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were a bit on edge. We were... separated from our loved ones by a storm.
Yeah, the storm, so obviously that came good. I stayed on in New Zealand for another 2.5 weeks with my wife and the kids.
Yeah,
and you stayed for a bit as well.
Yeah, for a week after it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we just kind of went into a time where we felt like we couldn't really put out podcasting content that was
up to standard.
Yeah, we felt it was a busy time, and if we pushed ourselves, it might have been a bit of a stale outcome for everyone.
Let's face it can't get much worse than what it is.
But yeah,
oh man, just life can be busy sometimes. So we figured it's best to just put things on hold instead of trying to just put something out there just for the sake of it.
Yeah, and we appreciate everyone.
We've had a fair few people, like asking about the next episode.
Yeah, and it was really good. And so thanks everyone for your patience. And we've come back. We've got a new thumbnail image and updated a few other things here and there. And hopefully we can be putting out even better content now that we're back.
New thumbnail, same old idiots on the microphone.
Same bloke. Sorry about that part. We can't really upgrade that part.
Okay, so if you're new to tuning into the podcast, we like to answer some questions that we get in from listeners each week, generally through our email, which is shootfirstpodcast@gmail.com.
Correct.
I was looking at Cameron like, am I saying it right? But, of course, the show is shoot first and then questions later. So for our shoot first section of the podcast, we like to talk about what we've kind of been photographing in the past week. This being our kind of comeback episode, or
past week, in this case, past month.
Exactly, the past 6 or so weeks. We kind of do a bit of catch up here about what's been going on and what we've been pointing our lenses at and whatnot.
This is going to be a big one potentially.
It is, but why can I not think of anything right now?
All right, let's start where we left off. So
right.
When the listeners last heard us, we were about to shoot off around New Zealand on our own, with our families.
Yeah.
And where did you head off to?
No, don't do that to me. I was going to ask you.
All
okay.
Right.
No, all right, you go.
Okay. So, Ebony and I, we went straight to the doctor's office.
Straight in
Queenstown because, Ebony wasn't feeling too good. So, anyway, there was a few days there at the start of the trip.
Yeah,
that was a bit
started
uneventful.
off a bit rough, didn't it?
Yeah, but no, we headed out to Wanaka. Then the highlight was really heading down to Milford Sound, which was my first time heading down.
And who told you to go there?
Old mate.
Old mate Billy boy. I urged you.
Yeah, and man, it was worth it. It was worth sliding on those icy Milford roads.
Mate.
But
all adds to the experience.
Yeah. We headed down there. We got some real good photos on the way. Like, I love the drive, just leaving Queenstown.
Yeah.
Like, just as soon as you leave Queenstown.
That's what I say to so many people. Like, the drive to Milford is generally almost better than Milford itself in some cases.
Yeah. And that was in my experience as well. And so I've got a lot of photos that I really like.
And I haven't seen any of your new work from this past month or so either.
Yeah, so I'm kind of keeping it under wraps a little bit. I'm
just taking your time.
Yeah, I'm letting it... I've edited a lot of it, still kind of making my way through, but I'm letting it marinate. If you've listened before, I'm sure you know what marinating is, but just letting it sit there and...
simmer in the flavours.
Yeah.
Soak it up.
And I'm really hoping to do something special with those photos.
Yeah.
So, maybe I'll when I know more about that, I'll let everyone know what the plan is. But just that drive on the way to Milford, got some of my favourite photos, and And yeah, obviously getting to Milford as well was a great experience. We got there just in time to catch the last boat of the day out.
Right, to do the cruise
Yeah,
on the fjord.
Yeah, that's it. And
see, it's not actually a sound. They call it Milford Sound, but a sound is when it's carved out by water. These mountains, but these mountains here, they're carved out by ice. They're glacially carved. That's why they're so steep. So technically, it should be Milford Fjord. Anyway. Bit of a fun fact for everyone. Man, yeah. It's not my first radio cam. So is that so the Milford section of the trip.
Yeah.
What else though? What else has been going on? I feel like you haven't taken a photo since.
No, I definitely have. I suppose the photos I've taken since have not been like typical photos that I take, I suppose. I've done a couple of sort of work-related photos, I suppose. Okay. So just like a bit of food photography and
sweet.
A few other things that people have come into contact with me for.
That's good.
But yeah, it's been. I think I need this space away from shooting so I can put my energy into processing these photos.
Yeah.
I feel like if I put myself really hard into shooting again, I'll get out of my New Zealand mindset, which I kind of want to stay in.
I want to channel those thoughts into the process.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. It makes sense, definitely.
It's been good though. Like the first thing I did actually when I got back was I made a small magazine of New Zealand photos, just my iPhone photos though.
Yeah, little zine, which was sitting on my desk waiting for me when I returned.
Yeah,
which was a nice surprise. Yeah,
printed it out for some friends and sent it a few places around Australia, and
I was shocked.
Really good.
I was shocked that there was iPhone shots.
All iPhone, just stuff that I'd been taking on the way. It was super easy to edit.
On your Instagram story, you're putting a lot of like little black and white.
Yeah,
and that's definitely what's inspired this.
Yeah, for sure. All black and white photos.
The process in putting a little magazine like this together, is that relatively simple if someone was interested in doing that? Yeah,
for sure. Depends actually. There's a simple way to do it where you don't get as much control over your final output, if you really want total control, there's sort of more in-depth routes that require you to know sort of InDesign, that software InDesign.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how to do that. I did the simple way.
Oh, okay. Well, I think it comes out nice.
I did it in a day. That's
if we were sponsored by this company, it'd be a good chance to slip in.
But we're not, so no one will ever know. No one will ever know the name of this company.
I was just thinking how perfect and natural that could have been.
Yeah.
WilliamPatino.com.
But
sweet.
Did it in a day, and now I've got some tangible.
It's impressive to see. The size here is maybe half an A4, roughly. So it's not huge, but the quality of the iPhone, it's more than enough to be able to print, and especially these are high contrast photos. They work quite well, black and white. Yeah, it's good,
and I find
it's cool, man. It's just nice to have tangible photos to hold. It brings the memories to life, and man, it's just how photography is meant to be.
Yeah, for sure.
In this day and age.
I can't wait to do something similar with my sort of more
I look forward to
proper photos. I don't know what to call them, but
real photo.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's weird. Like, what is a real photo these days, or a real camera? Man, in this day and age, I tell you.
In this day and age, get your in this day and age.
I said it 10 seconds ago, and you didn't hear it, so I've repeated it twice now, and the people listening are like, "What's he on about?"
I didn't hear it.
That's my old man saying.
Old man Wilbur.
I'm 30 now. I turned 30. When did I? Oh, that was before. Yeah, so I probably mentioned that already.
Yeah. I think because we talked about the flight we did.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm just bringing it back up.
That's good stuff. So now yourself, Will, you had a little bit of fun in New Zealand.
Yeah, man, it's that just seems so long ago because I've been back to New Zealand since that trip. I got back from NZ I think a week ago. But anyway, I'll go back to the beginning just to keep it fresh and so I can actually remember what's going on. So yeah, my wife and 2 kids came across, which is always fun and games with the 2 kids, and the goal was to just chill out and just to go some nice places, and I wanted them to be able to experience New Zealand like I have so many times. So the main highlight really was there's a chalet out the back of Wanaka, a private chalet. So we surprised my wife you have to get helicoptered up there. It's heli access only.
Just like all places in New Zealand, pretty standard,
the best places.
Only.
Yeah, so got the kids in the chopper, which was pretty cool. My son was super stoked. Yeah, flew up. We have a chef that came up with us, a private chef, and left us at this chalet and stayed up there the night. And just, man, right up in the mountains in the wilderness, 360-degree views of just alpine scenery covered in snow. It was incredible.
Yeah, it doesn't get better.
Oh, man, just the pinnacle, yeah. And I'd stayed there before in a tourism job several years earlier, so I knew how special it was, and I always thought it would be great to bring my wife up there. And so that was a really cool thing. And otherwise, we just bounced around, staying at Airbnbs, which is a really good way to do New Zealand. If you can't do the camper van thing, then
it is cold in winter. I can confirm.
So you had
cold
the camper
in winter
van.
Camper van.
It is, isn't it? It's a struggle. You need the heaters and powered sites. You can't just pull over and sleep on the side. Well, you can, obviously.
You can just have, I'm pretty sure
if you have a partner who's not, you know what I mean. Like, if you want to be cozy, then it's not ideal. Yeah.
We had a heater, and when we slept in Milford Sound, we were at a powered site. We had a little fan heater, and I think we probably had 7 decent thick blankets on. I probably had big cotton socks and like long sleeve clothes and stuff, and it got cold.
Just shivered the night away.
It's good stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, the Airbnb is definitely a good option. So we did that. I'm just trying to think what else exactly happened on that trip. Oh, yeah, I know what happened. It's not good. We basically all got the flu. So it started with my son, and it just went downhill from there. He got really, cough and sore throat and everything, and then it just hit all of us. And man, like, I planned to do a little mission into the wilderness for a few nights. I flew across with my tent and everything, and I just had nothing, like, couldn't leave the house at all, didn't want to leave the family sick, and I just had no motivation.
Yeah.
So it was actually kind of heartbreaking. I had a week straight in this nice house, which was good in the sense that it gave us somewhere to just be sick and just relax, but all these ideas I had, preconceived plans, were just kind of shut down.
You were going to go out into the wilderness, weren't you?
Yeah, I think
we might have talked about it.
Yeah, I've got lots of locations that I want to shoot over there, and just had to put it all on the back burner, but that's how it is. And then, since then I've come home, and it's just been turbulent. I've been back across to do another workshop, which was, like I said, maybe about a week ago now, and that was really enjoyable. Going back, much less snow around. However, a big snow dump came through on the very last day, which was very, very special. It's just been crazy. I've also been doing...
You had a job up north, didn't you? Tourism?
Did I? Yeah, up to Port Macquarie.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in New South Wales, a little tourism job with some other photographers that I was kind of... Like, I was hosting this job directly, so it meant that I was like liaising with the tourism guys and kind of driving everyone around and blah, blah, blah. Kind of being a dad, basically. But yeah, that's always a pleasure doing those jobs and people that I know and have worked with before. And then, then I went back to New Zealand after that. And personally, I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I'm kind of sitting on maybe 20 or so new photos, which I quite like. Which
is quite an effort, really.
I mean, it's quite a lot.
I know for you, 20 photos a year would be like...
to be stoked with.
Yeah, because you've hit Patagonia this year as well.
Yeah.
And then,
so what I've done this year is I went to Patagonia and some other travels at the start of the year, and then in roughly June, I dropped all my new photos on my website. There was about 45 of them, and that was everything from the past 6 months. And in that meantime, I wasn't really putting much on Instagram or social media. I kind of wanted everything to be released at once so people can just go, okay, what's Will being up to, and just check everything out instead of slowly leaking things.
Yep.
And I kind of liked doing that. I think it gave me more time to enjoy the photos, and it gave people a lot of things to view at once and see it all as a whole body of work. So that's where I'm at now. It's been a couple of months since then, and I honestly haven't put any new work on social media. Maybe 1 or 2 photos, 3 from that tourism job I did. But besides that, all the stuff that I am passionate about and what I'm calling like my portfolio work, I'm going to do the same thing. I head to Iceland this week, and then I'll go back to Iceland a couple of weeks after this trip. So I'm going to wait till I do those 2 trips, and then I'll do a similar thing. I want to relaunch my website and hopefully put another 40 or so photos up from the back half of this year.
Yep.
So, yeah, in that meantime, I've got a fair few on the hard drive. Like I said, maybe 20 or so at the moment, which I kind of like. And, yeah, I'm just going to wait, let them marinate, and, yeah, put them all out later. So there has been a few times I'm like, I just want to start to share some of these photos. But I do definitely, at the moment, prefer this new way of doing things. And not letting social media kind of dictate the way
your photos are being viewed.
Exactly.
One thing that comes to mind is when you're leaking things, once a day or something, a person will view your photos surrounded by other people's photos in a feed of photos. So, like, it'll be, here's Cameron's photos, here's Will's photo, here's someone else's photo, and then Will's photo is back up here surrounded by other people's photos, sort of thing. But if you drop it all at once on your website and a person is
they go to
Will, and it's just Will's
and take it
work,
on. And
it's
I feel like a story. I kind of say to people, I've said to people recently, it's like with musicians. I always liken photography to music. It's probably not the first time on this podcast, but if musicians, they might release 1 or 2 singles, but generally they're off an album, and they'll just go and work on an entire album, and then bang, they'll release that entire album. You get excited, you go and get the album, you want to listen to it all from front to back. And I think I like to view photography the same way at the moment. A musician can't be expected to write a great track after great track, week in, week out, and just keep dropping a new track every week. It doesn't work that way. Yeah. You just doesn't. And if they are, then I feel like the standards slip. So if you're trying to just keep up with, say, having a presence online and just trying to put out new work all the time, you're probably not putting the best stuff out there. So obviously I still share things online, but it's just older shots, which I still like, and, let people see them again.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, just slowly chip away at this bigger project. And I'm excited. I like doing it this way. It gets me excited to, like, I even sharing with you, just like, you haven't really seen, very briefly, I've shown you a few bits, but, to see your reaction when I'm like, here, sit down at the computer after dinner, have a coffee, man, and have a look at the photos.
That's the best
That
way.
gets me excited.
I love seeing it on a big computer screen that you've used to edit it, so I know I'm seeing it exactly how you've intended for it, because that's how you've kind of created the
photographers
process.
That I look up to. That's what I like doing. I like going to their website and having a good browse and enjoying it for what it is, and not, let's face it, Instagram, that's where everyone is now, and it forces you to view photos in a certain way. You can't look at it with a black background, or you can't rotate the screen to view it larger. There's so many things that kind of take away from what I think photography should be.
Yep.
So that's kind of where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, and there's been a couple of times now where that's sort of our process. We like to sort of show one another a photo. Like, if I'm over at yours or if you're at mine, it's like quickly just like. Yeah,
so I showed you the other night. I was like, here, man, just have a quick look. And then, just...
if I can sort of just build the hype here in case anyone is like...
I don't know.
Sitting in anticipation. I loved some of these shots. I saw them and immediately wanted to see them printed. Like, it's a joke that I am sad thinking that a lot of those I won't ever see printed.
Yeah, I know.
Unless I just pay for them to be printed.
We got a lot of room where we are now. There's lots of blank walls.
Yeah, we'll fill them up.
Yeah, it's funny. Some of the photos I do definitely love, but then because it's starting to dwindle on now a couple of months, I start to have doubt. You go, hang on, do I really like that? But then I'll go back and double check. But that's that marinating process. This is where you cull the work and you really make sure, because sometimes you have an emotional connection to a photo, but deep down it's not a good photo or your best work, and the only reason why you're hanging on to it is just because of the experience, that emotional connection. And this marinating process, as you draw it out, it gives time for the emotion to fade and for you to actually go, all right, hang on, that I'm going to do it. So I've done that a fair few times now. I've just deleted some of the ones.
Yeah, and that's the key to photography. Just don't put emotion into it. Let that emotion fade away.
It probably sounded wrong, didn't it? I'm all about the moods and the emotions, but I mean that, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do,
The artist's connection with it, that probably isn't really, telling the story like you want it to be. Yeah. Just connected because of your own reasoning. I don't know. I'm talking in circles now. I know you guys understand what I mean.
Yeah, for sure. But so we can probably tackle a question now.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? You feel
think
up to
we've
it?
caught up. Have we caught up, you reckon?
We probably have not.
And another little thing I've been doing, I'm working with a brand at the moment, shooting some stills for a camera, which is basically a point and shoot camera, just a fixed lens. And this camera is literally probably the size of the iPhone, but double the thickness. So it's still very small. Like,
it fits in my
easily
top
fits,
shirt pocket.
Yeah, basically. Just looks like it like carton of cigarettes. Like just bulging.
It's probably a decent size comparison, actually.
So anyway, I've been shooting with this just to get some stills. Pretty big gig, this one, for them to use to market the camera. And man, it's actually been fun to go out. So I've been going out the last couple of weeks. I took it to the recent New Zealand trip. And just leaving my other camera in the bag and forcing myself to shoot scenes that, even if I might not have shot them with my other camera, just going, all right, what can I do here for this point and shoot? And yeah, it's been surprising how amazing this camera is, man. It's kind of scary. It's like,
where's photography heading?
Yeah, the technology, but it's really cool. And it's just been enjoyable for me to go to a few locations this past week now that I'm at home.
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning and go, I'll go out anyway, just to see what I can do. Just get some shots with this camera.
Yeah.
And it's been fun, and it looks funny though. Like, it looks ridiculous seeing like this guy holding a little
tiny
point and shoot. I was on the weekend at a popular photography location here, Cathedral Rocks, and there was half a dozen other photographers there, and all I had was a little point and shoot. And part of me was like embarrassed if these people saw me and just thought, look at that guy.
Yeah. Guaranteed someone's looked at
like
you.
You almost like want to put a sign up saying it's okay.
He's not a threat. He's using a point and shoot.
Don't worry about it. He doesn't even have a tripod.
Yeah. That's what it's all about. You got to challenge those norms, challenge all those things that are typical. And
I put the camera up on my Instagram story, and I had a guy that I know from Germany. He saw it, and he was like, "Everyone's worried about the new Nikon D850 and getting the best camera gear." And then he's like, and then you just go around with this point and shoot and just nail it or something. Not that I nailed it, but I just thought. Yeah, it is funny how we do care so much about megapixels and resolution and all this stuff, and all everyone's doing is looking at the photos on a phone 9 out of 10 times anyway. But yeah, long story short, it's been fun, and it's given me a little bit of motivation to just go out anyway, regardless. Not thinking, this is not going to be something I love and want to put on my website, but knowing that, this is going to be a good photo for this camera to show what this camera can do. So it's kind of given me a bit of drive, which has been good.
It's good. Yeah, you need to... I think it's important to spice things up a little bit.
It's like when we had that film camera from Matt.
Oh, we should talk about that.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got our photos back, but finally, so we're in New Zealand. I was waiting for the photos back for 3 weeks.
The film to get developed,
yeah. And anyway, the place that was developing just stuffed it up hardcore. But we got the photos, and we'll add a link or something.
Yeah. I downloaded them, and I thought
you
I
can't remember what they are.
No, I can't remember. I was a bit disappointed.
Yeah.
No, not disappointed. I was just like, okay, yeah, this is, I guess it was what I expected. Yeah. There was maybe one that I'd consider like processing and maybe posting, and like my first ever film photo. But yeah, I guess I just looked at them and I thought, all right, I want another chance now. I want another opportunity to. It's a different ball game.
Admittedly, we were very rushed.
Yeah, we
left it.
We had one
we didn't
morning.
Purposely leave it to one
we're just
last
busy.
minute. Yeah, the only time we could tee it up, I had to return the camera to my friend Matt, who had loaned it, and we had one morning, so we just went out to the beach at sunrise. It was just standing at the edge of the ocean at sunrise, shooting what we could.
Literally sand, water, and an empty sky. Yeah, and that was it.
Yeah, so it
that's
was
hard
challenge.
with a digital camera.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we can't beat ourselves up. Much.
I think I've got. I definitely have one photo, not from that morning, because when I returned the camera to my friend, there were still some photos.
Oh, now the truth comes out
to be taken on.
He stops by the best location ever and gets.
I was in his house giving him his camera back, and I took a photo of him that I really liked.
Okay.
Anyway, but my beach ones, there's probably one or two there that I don't mind as well. But yeah, we'll add links to that in the show notes.
Yeah, good idea.
As well as putting it on our Instagram, the Shoot First Podcast on Instagram, where we stick all the photos. That you can look
we're
at.
rambling on about here.
Yeah, we add it up.
You can generally see it on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good to just get out of the comfort zone and have a bit of motivation, just like what I was saying now of this little point and shoot. It's good. It's good to challenge yourself.
Do you remember one of the challenges of shooting with the film?
One of the challenges. What, is there a specific one, or just in general?
No, I'm just wondering what you found most challenging about the shooting film.
I didn't find too much. It wasn't until I saw the photos, and that's where I saw my mistakes.
Yep.
Mainly the focus was just really badly out. Manually focusing on that thing, which isn't uncommon for me to manually focus, but yeah, just not lining it up properly through the viewfinder. I guess it just slipped and missed a little bit. Exposure-wise, I was pretty happy. I feel like got the exposure just right and settings like that. But yeah, I'd say that. And
we didn't have a light meter. There's a small light meter on the camera.
Yeah, we used a digital camera to meter the light and then just transfer the settings across.
Yeah,
no, it was really enjoyable. I think holding it off memory now, it felt a little bit unnatural, the shape of the camera. I think off memory,
heavy.
Just kind of heavy and a little bit unnatural. But
and we were hand holding, and I think some of those shots could have used a tripod, just because like you and I both use mirrorless cameras on.
We're used to being able to shoot pretty slow shutters.
Yeah, because even your DSLR with the mirror has image stabilization.
Yeah.
So we're both sort of used to being able to go low shutter speeds handheld, but
it just shows you the difference. And medium format too.
Yeah,
you're going to see that difference.
Yeah, it picks up any little blur, and the mirror in it would just slap and move the camera when you're shooting. So. Yeah,
it's good.
Such a big
I'd love to try it again actually now when we've got more time, but
obviously
for sure. It's hard.
Well, one day.
Taking Matt's camera off him. That's good.
But yeah, I think the results you guys will see, they're nothing sort of spectacular, I suppose. But maybe we'll
try. We worked with what we had.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope you like it. Let's tackle a question, because we've already touched on this briefly now that you're talking about the point and shoot, because we're going to dive into a topic.
There we go. What a segue.
What a segue.
Unplanned.
This topic about how we feel about cropped camera sensors versus full frame camera sensors. And I've just got an email here, and it's from our friend Lockie, and he asks, "Hey guys, I'm currently in the market for a new camera and am tossing up a lot of options. I mainly shoot landscapes, and my old camera was a micro four thirds sensor. My question is, what are your thoughts on full frame versus crop sensor sizes? Is the difference really that noticeable or worth it? I don't sell a lot of prints currently, but am looking into printing more of my own work."
Yeah, thanks, Lockie. Thanks for reaching out, man.
Cropped sensor versus full frame. Do you just want to go over? He mentions micro four thirds and cropped and full frame. Do you just want to go over?
Yeah. So obviously, what Lockie's talking about here is the sensor inside your camera, which is what essentially captures the light. That's where the megapixels are. So inside each camera, there's different size sensors. Obviously, a mobile phone, for example, has a tiny sensor. And then we move up into, say, the digital SLR world and the mirrorless world, where we have typically micro four thirds, and then we have a crop sensor, and then full frame, and then medium format, which is up even further again. So you got this big range here of different sensor sizes.
You might have heard a cropped sensor also being called APS-C sensor.
Yeah, that's right.
That's just another name.
APS-C, yep, or cropped. So yeah, the sensor size determines a few things. First of all, we shoot. The pixels are what captures the light. So when you hear megapixels, that's millions of pixels. So 20 megapixel camera, 20 million pixels on the sensor. Now, I don't know, how do we keep this short and sweet and straight to the point in regards to the difference between sensor sizes?
So the actual size, generally, larger sensor means better image quality. Let's
be honest. That's what it means. Yeah.
Okay. So Lockie's asking, is the difference in image quality between full frame and crop sensor really worth the increase of money? So full frame sensor will be more money, but he's asking, am I getting a much better image quality for my extra money?
Yeah, it's a good question, and something that I deal with a lot with workshop clients who may be on a crop sensor and want to upgrade, and this exact question, what do I upgrade to? Because the key thing here, this is the part that kind of gets under my skin a little bit, is the fact that the lenses have a big play here. That full frame lenses, they can fit on a crop sensor, but then they get cropped in slightly. So, for example, a 16mm full frame lens becomes like
24
mil or something like that on a cropped.
Yeah.
And if you have a cropped camera already with a bunch of cropped lenses, they can't really go on a full frame camera. So you can throw them out the window. So this is where you can go down the wrong road and get caught out. If you start investing in cropped gear and then intend to upgrade to full frame down the track, you're going to be stuck with all this useless lenses that you can't really keep using. Now, for me, I started with a cropped sensor camera. I had no idea. I just had this camera at home, whatever, and I actually got caught out. I bought a wide-angle lens for it, and then I was bitterly disappointed when the lens wasn't as wide as I expected, not realising that it was going to crop in more. And then I upgraded to a full frame after that, and I've been shooting full frame ever since in both mirrorless and DSLRs. The benefit for me in doing that, and the reason why I enjoy it, is firstly the lens choice. There's more lens choice with full frame. Most of the companies that make full frame cameras, they generally design their best and biggest lenses
and sharpest
lenses for full frame.
Yeah.
Say Canon, Nikon, for example. They have both cropped and full frame, but the full frame lenses are where the quality's really at. Also, I don't print that much either, but having that extra resolution on a sensor just allows you to get a cleaner print. It also gives you generally a cleaner photo, resolution-wise.
Gives you a bit of space to crop in your photos.
Gives you space. If you want to crop or warp or scale a photo around a little bit in post-processing, you've got that extra beef there in the image.
Which happens a lot in landscape, doesn't it? Like, you might need to warp the image.
Yeah, you might have to move things around or whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind is not all megapixels, more megapixels does not mean a better photo.
Yep.
There's mobile phones that have 40 megapixels in them. It's insane. But the size of those pixels are so tiny that they're really bad at other things like dynamic range or high ISO, noise performance. So sometimes there might be a full frame sensor with less megapixels, but those megapixels, the pixels are physically bigger and better, so it's a cleaner photo. With a crop sensor, it's a smaller sensor, and if it's a high resolution, it's got more pixels, but the pixels are smaller, the quality can go down.
Yeah. One example is like the Canon has a 5DR.
The 5D SR.
Yeah, when it's got
50 megapixel, and it's on full frame.
Yeah, but a Sony A7R, which is 36, the first one.
Yeah.
A7R.
Yeah.
That has less megapixels, but I would argue that
but the
it
noise
has way
performance,
better image quality.
Well, even the R2, which is what I have, Sony A7R2, full frame, that's 42 megapixels, so 8 megapixels less. But the noise performance is way better than the Canon 5DSR. And Sony knew that designing it. They said, we're not going to try and keep up with that 50 because that's just impractical and other things will suffer. And then they scaled it back slightly. So, it's just finding that right balance. Now, when it comes to, say, Lockie here or anyone really, it does definitely come down to your goals as a photographer and what you're trying to achieve. I personally would just say the main thing to consider is lenses and where you see your photography going in the future. 9 times out of 10, I'm recommending people generally go full frame.
Yep.
If you're a landscape shooter, like he says he is,
yep.
I feel like landscape's a way to go. Full frame's a way to go. Mainly because there's better lens options, cheaper lens options, and you're just going to have better performance generally with the resolution being higher, noise performance and things like that. Now, this is obviously a bit of like, it's not every case, but generally that's what I'm finding.
Yeah. And to to now
throw a spanner in the works.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a big spanner in the works. So I think Will and I, one of the reasons we chose this one is because we're uniquely prepared to argue about this. Because not argue, but give
not
different
argue,
opinions.
But just have a good old fisticuffs fight.
Because I shoot a cropped sensor. I've got a Fujifilm X-T2, and
which is a lovely camera.
Yeah,
I'm impressed with it.
And it's it's that cropped sensor. It's and I shoot a lot of landscapes. I shoot a lot of other things. And when I was looking to buy that camera, I looked into a bunch of cameras. Like I looked at the A7R2.
Let's let everyone know first. Before that, you've had every camera under the sun.
Yeah, I've had every camera under the sun. I've definitely had full frame. I've had a fair few full frame cameras.
Yeah.
And I went into Fujifilm. I tested it. I tested it was up between a 5D Mark III, an A7R2, and a Fujifilm X-T2. And there's a massive price difference between the X-T2 and those other two cameras. So that was a massive factor, don't get me wrong. There's like an extra $2,000 pretty much.
Yeah.
So, or maybe $1.50 for the other two.
The size as well, yeah.
And I basically decided that even though I know that I wasn't getting as better image quality, I decided that I was going to choose to sort of settle. I don't feel like I'm settling, but I settled for lower image quality in terms of zooming in on my photos, cropping in on my photos, as opposed to spending the extra money on these other cameras.
Yeah.
I also liked the feel of the X-T2 and all the other things that come with the camera that I really like. That I won't go into.
And they've got good lenses as well.
Ages.
They are nice lenses. Yeah.
But
Fuji, sorry to cut you off, Fuji doesn't make full frame cameras.
No.
So their effort and energy and everything, they specialize in these crop sensor cameras. So you're going to get better quality than say Canon, for example. They're doing all this other stuff. So somewhere there's going to be a weak link in the chain somewhere, and I feel like that's where these bigger companies.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah. So when I shoot landscapes and that, there are times where I might zoom in or crop in and I can see that difference, and I can think to myself,
what a wonderful world.
I can love my photo, and I can see,
and then just weep, just cry yourself to sleep.
And
it's hard not to be a pixel peeper, but because when you edit, like you and me, most people, you zoom in to look at details to correct stuff or whatever, and that's where you just once you see something, you can't unsee it. Once you see pixelation or noise, you just go, oh.
And this is a scenario. I seriously love my camera, and I love the images and the colour.
Here it comes,
and there is a photo that I really love. I took in New Zealand, just in the forest, and I know that I could never print it that big because upon zooming in, you can just see. You can see that
noise in the shadows.
No, it's just lack of clarity and resolution.
Okay, like a
image.
muddy.
Yeah, so it was probably a combination of it's a lower f-stop than I should have been shooting that scene at, and that was because of the light, and I was trying to be handheld. So I didn't get away with a few things that I could get away with on a full frame sensor, which just has a better quality of photo. Yeah. So I know that there are times where I miss out on a better quality image, but there are so many other things about this camera that I love that make it okay.
Especially the size, I think, is just a good one for those.
Yeah, and I love using it, just the usability and everything. So, I mean, Lockie doesn't say what system or what brand he's invested in at the moment, but I think what Will said, you got to think about the lenses, and
I think that's probably the main thing to consider.
It's super important because that's where your sharpness is coming from.
The lens is everything, and the lenses outlast your bodies. You'll have a lens that can go through 5 bodies, 5 different bodies, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. So you got to just think about that. Kind of stick to a brand and buy the lenses, and as the bodies come and go, you've still got the glass there.
Yeah,
but
I've got a good. Here's what we do. I've got a good game.
Here we go.
So I'm going to say a camera brand or a camera system, and
I rate it out of 10.
No, I ask you, should he go full frame or stay cropped for the money? So he's thinking extra money, and what's the quality of difference going to be? Is the money going to be worth it?
Going to be justified? Yeah, okay.
I think I know your answer for every single one, actually. But,
right.
So like Canon, say he's coming from an 80D.
Yeah, okay, yeah, full frame.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Nikon.
Full frame.
Okay, Sony.
Yeah, full frame. I don't even know if they've got cropped.
They do.
Really. Do they?
Yeah, don't even think about it.
That's how bad they are. Yeah, exactly.
Nah, they're probably all right. I mean, you've the...
Well, I've got a pocket, whatever that is. That must be 4/3.
But I know, but we've... I think it's 1 inch, so smaller than 4/3. Okay. But we talked about... Anyway, Fujifilm.
We have to go,
exactly.
Cropped. Yeah.
That was a trick
question. Other one, though. The other one, sir, the big player, Olympus.
Yeah, so
they're pretty popular.
He probably
at the moment.
Has an Olympus if he's got the micro 4/3.
Yeah, he probably does.
Because they're all.
Now I'm going to say here, Olympus, good company, but I have used some of their cameras, and coming from the full frame world down to micro 4/3, mate. I was like, it felt like I was looking at iPhone photos. Like when I put them in to process them, these raw files, and just zoomed in just slightly, I was like, oh no, just mortified by the lack of detail and the noise performance and everything like that. It was very noticeable to me. But yeah, it's just one of those, like, I'm not fussed either way. I don't care, full cropped, whatever, for other people. I know for me, full frame, definitely. But yeah, when it comes to other people, it's a personal preference thing, really. And it comes down to the look in your photos, your style, your goals as a photographer. Some people are happy just to only ever put photos on an iPhone and like on Instagram, and then that's it. That's the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a personal thing, and it's kind of like a case by case basis.
For sure.
But I'm going to say straight up, I reckon it's almost a marketing trick that these companies still make crop sensor kits and everything. And still make full frame. I really believe they should, say Canon and Nikon, there's no purpose really to it except for making more money by tricking people to think that they need to invest in. They kind of market it like the crop sensors are for beginners and the full frames are professionals, which in my opinion is just complete garbage. It's like, it's the same thing almost, but they're just charging more money, giving you a little bit better image quality in most cases.
Yeah.
They should just do away with the other systems, because people are getting caught out buying 1 or 2 crop lenses, the kit lenses and all that. And then when they go, oh, I like photography, I want to keep doing it, they realise, oh, I should probably go full frame so I can have these better lenses. Yeah. And then they're spending more money again.
Crop sensors are the gateway drug.
Yeah, the gateway. Yeah, exactly. Lure them in with a bit of hardcore. And then bang, you're a meth addict, just like that.
So this is my advice. Get whatever camera. Get whatever camera doesn't break your bank and doesn't suck you into this like pretty vicious cycle of wanting more and more gear, and like something that you're gonna have fun with. Yeah, like make sure that.
Who are you? This good guy coming in. I'm being negative and can't speak.
It's because I've made all of these mistakes.
He's been there, my friend.
So
He's
hard.
Felt your pain.
Yeah, so just you gotta get something that you're going to use.
Gear acquisition syndrome.
Yeah. So you don't want to get hooked into that.
You don't want gas, man.
Yeah. so
we'll
many,
leave it there.
So many options here.
Yeah, dude. So all right, summarise for Lockie. Well, you just did summarise, didn't you? Basically.
Yeah. What's your summary?
Summary, just consider your future. Yeah, that's deep. I know that's a deep thing. But consider your future, young man. Where do you want to go for your photography? What style do you want to keep pursuing, landscapes, etc.? Look, I'm going to summarise and just say full frame. I'm going to say it now, dude. Just get a full frame. You'll be way happier. If you're shooting landscapes, you just want more detail, more resolution, the better. If you're doing night photography, northern lights, you want that bigger resolution and better low light performance. Some of the crop sensors definitely have a great low light performance, but I just think full frame, man. Just do it.
Yeah.
The big question is, which we won't answer now, is which brand do you go with? That's where it opens up another can of worms again. But especially if you're on the micro 4/3, dude, if you get a full frame, you won't know yourself looking at those files.
Yeah, you love it. Yeah.
And in my opinion, I don't feel like the money Okay, it is a big difference. Like you were saying, $2,000 almost in some cases.
If you think about an entry-level full frame, so like Canon 6D or something like that.
With a basic lens,
even
like 24 to 70.
Even like a first-gen Sony A7R, like that still has great photos, hey?
Oh, amazing.
And it's so old and you can get them pretty cheap.
That's my second, like, it's like backup body for me, and I'm happy to use it.
Yeah. So
but even that's maybe
there are entry-level full frames.
Yeah.
So
every brand will have entry-level full frames. Once again, another marketing trick. But
so you can definitely like.
I feel like you won't have to spend that much more money to go into the full frame world.
They get you on the lenses, though.
They get you on the lenses, but at least they're there in the long run.
Yeah.
But even then, all my lenses don't last more than a few years because I just start selling them.
You get over them.
I'm doing that process right now, actually. But yeah.
Do you want to talk
what
about
a wonderful world,
do you want to talk about that? No.
Oh, no, not now. Okay. It's all good.
But yeah, hopefully we answered your question there, Lockie, and
maybe we raised more questions than answers.
Most likely, but yeah.
But obviously, it's something, dude, that there's no right or wrong.
Do your research, hey. Like, just there's so much material online to research, but don't get sucked into this whole, I need the best gear. And all this
ultimately, it's the person behind the lens, really.
Yeah,
like, it's cliche, but it's so true. Like, give anyone, a photographer, any camera, they're going to make it work one way or another.
Give William Patino a point and shoot.
Point and shoot, boy.
And he'll make it work.
Google image search, right click, save as.
Yeah, that's the trick. All right, thanks, Lockie. And once again, his Instagram handle is Lockie Zettel, Zettl, or Z for you Americans out there. Good stuff. And if you want to send in your own question, which we would love to read your questions, it is shootfirstpodcast@gmail.com, or just hit us up anywhere. The email is preferred, but whatever you guys
wherever, DM us, just anything. Get the questions in. The more the merrier.
For sure.
Make them hard and complex, philosophical.
Yeah. Oh, the more philosophical, the better.
We want to ramble on.
Yeah. We know.
But yeah, no, thanks everyone so far who's dropped some questions in, and sorry if we haven't got around to answering yours yet.
Yeah.
It just wasn't good enough, really. No.
Thanks for, and getting on us for recording this episode. Thanks for following us up and keeping in contact. Honest. And thanks for tuning in and listening to this after such a long break. We really appreciate it. And we hope you guys stick around for some more content in the coming weeks.
Thank you. Happy shooting, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Boy.